Good morning, students. I hope you all are fine and you are all attempting online quiz sincerely and you all are not finding any kind of problem in understanding video content of your teachers. And in case you have any problem in my subject, economics or geography, you can WhatsApp me anytime and I will definitely entertain all of your doubts. Even if I am not able to attend your doubts, I will clear your doubts after a while. I will surely call you back or text you back. So, as we are all aware that in economics we had started chapter 3, poverty as a challenge. And this chapter 3 is all about the major challenge faced by independent India, that is poverty. In this chapter, we will discuss causes, remedies, global poverty, poverty in India, poverty trends, all about poverty. Till now, we have covered few topics of poverty as a challenge. Number 1, we did introduction in which I told you that nearly fourth person in India is poor. Then I gave you two typical examples of poverty, urban case, rural case, and from both the above case we found out that unemployment, large size of families, illiteracy, malnutrition, child labor, etc., all these issues are correlated to poverty. From these issues only you got indicators of poverty. Indicators of poverty that you described into two categories: social indicators and economic indicators. Economic indicators may be level of income and expenditure or consumption. And if we talk about social indicators, then we included illiteracy level, lack of general resistance due to malnutrition, lack of access to healthcare, job opportunities, access to safe drinking water, sanitation, etc. These all indicators reflect the level of poverty existing in a country or in a region. Then we studied social exclusion, vulnerability. In social exclusion, we were clear that if poor are not supposed or if poor are not allowed to live in a society of better off person, then poverty will be the ultimate outcome. Therefore, social exclusion is the result as well as the cause of poverty. And then we studied vulnerability to poverty, in which I described that there are certain communities or individuals in the society which are more likely to be poor or which are more likely to remain poor in the coming years. Why? Because they do not have adequate alternate options with them. Then this was the topic that we covered in part 1 of chapter 3, poverty as a challenge. Now let's recapitulate what we had studied in part 2. In short, previous video lesson of poverty. The topic that we covered were poverty line and poverty estimates. First of all, let's revise poverty line. What is the poverty line? Poverty line basically is a cutoff point through which you come to know that whether the particular person is poor or non-poor. That is the method through which most of the countries identify their poor people. And if we talk about India, then while determining the poverty line in India, a minimum level of food requirements, clothing, footwear, fuel and light, educational and medical requirements, etc., are determined for subsistence. There are two different methods through which you get to know about poverty line. First is calorie intake method. Actually, whether a person is poor or non-poor, it depends on the per day calorie intake by that individual. If you are living in a rural area and you are consuming or you are intaking 2400 calories per day, then you are non-poor. And if you are not able to access 2400 calories a day in rural areas, then you will be poor. And now if we talk about urban areas, then the limit becomes 2100 calories. In other words, if a person is able to consume 2100 calories per day in urban area, then that person will be non-poor. And below this category, all individuals lie in the poverty. This is one way to define poverty line in India. There is another way which is related to the monetary expenditure per capita. Now I am telling you, you need to consume this much calorie per day. But how will you get these calories? From where will you get these calories? That is from food. The money that you spend on food also can be used as a method to describe poverty line in India. Actually, for the year 2011-12, the poverty line for a person was fixed at rupees 816 per month for the rural areas, and it is rupees 1000 for the urban areas. You know that the calorie intake was higher in rural areas, while if we talk about poverty line related to expenditure, it is more in urban areas. Why is it so? That's because the standard of living and the prices of many essential goods are really high in urban centers. That is why limit has been set as rupees 1000 for urban people and limit has been set as rupees 816 rupees per month in rural areas. This is all about poverty line in India. Now, the next topic that we covered in our previous video lesson was poverty estimates. I gave you one table through which you could analyze that there is substantial decline in poverty ratios in India from about 45% in 1993-94 to 37.2% in 2004-05. The proportion of people below poverty line further came down to about 21.9% in 2011-12. And dear students, if the trend continues, people below poverty line may come down to less than 20% in the next few years. Although the percentage of people living under poverty declined in the earlier 2 decades, the number of poor declined from 407.1 million in 2004-05 to 269.3 million in 2011-12, with an average annual decrease of 2.2 percentage points during 2004-05 to 2011-12. Therefore, we can summarize this as we need to put more effort in order to eliminate the problem of poverty in India, since percentage decline in poverty has been reducing. That is just 2.2 percentage now. That was it that we covered in our previous video lesson. Now students, without wasting time, let's read the following topics so that you will able to know that the topic that we left due to time shortage in my previous video lesson is going to be covered in today's video lesson. The first topic is vulnerable groups. This is the topic that we were supposed to cover in previous video lesson, but now we are going to do it in this video lesson as there was shortage of time. After vulnerable groups, we are going to study interstate disparities, and the last topic that we are going to study today is global poverty scenario. Let's get started. Now is the time to discuss the last topic of today's lesson, that is vulnerable groups. Which are the vulnerable groups? Dear students, the proportion of people below poverty line is also not same for all social groups and economic categories in India. Social groups which are more vulnerable to poverty are scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, right? Scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities of India are more vulnerable to poverty, right? There are more chances of people falling into poverty who belong to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. Similarly, among the economic groups, the most vulnerable groups are the rural agricultural labor households and the urban casual labor households. In short, economic groups like agricultural laborers and urban casual laborers, and social groups like scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. These four communities of India or groups of India fall into poverty most often as compared to other groups and other people living in India. From the graph, you can simply analyze that the percentage of poor people in all these groups. Although the average for people below poverty line for all groups in India is 30, that is 48 out of 100 people belonging to scheduled tribes in rural areas are not able to meet their basic needs. Similarly, 47% of casual workers in urban areas are below poverty line, and about 50% of landless agricultural workers and 43% of scheduled castes are also poor. The double advantage of being a landless casual wage labor household in the socially disadvantaged social groups of the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribe population highlights the seriousness of the problem. In other words, if a person belongs to scheduled caste tribe and also at the same time the person belongs to the category of landless laborer of agriculture, the two problem is mixed and the seriousness of the problem has been increased. Some recent studies have shown that except for the scheduled tribe households, all the other three groups, that is scheduled caste, rural agricultural laborer and the urban casual labor households, have seen a decline in poverty in the 1990s. Apart from these social groups, there is also inequality of incomes between a family. In poor families, all suffer, but some suffer more than others. Women, elderly people, and female infants are systematically denied equal access to resources available to the family. That means you can see discrimination among family members also. Women, aged people, girls are discriminated. They are not able to access equal resources available to the family members, right? Therefore, women, children, especially the girl child and the old people, are poorest of the poor. Now let's read the story of Sivaraman, who lives in a small village near Karur town in Tamil Nadu. Karur village is famous for its handloom and parloom fabrics. There are 100 families in the village. Sivaraman, a cobbler by caste now, works as an agricultural laborer for rupees 50 per day, but that's only for 5 to 6 months in a year. At other times, he does all jobs in the town. His wife Sasikala too works with him, but she can rarely find work these days, and even if she does, she is paid rupees 25 per day for the same work that Sivaraman does. There are 8 members in the family. Sivaraman's 65-year-old widowed mother is ill and needs to be helped with her daily chores. He has a 25-year-old unmarried sister and 4 children aged between 1 year to 16 years. 3 of his children are girls. The youngest is a son. None of the girls go to school. Buying books and other things for school going girls is a luxury he cannot afford simply. And he has to get them married at some point of time, so he doesn't want to spend on their education now. His mother has lost interest in life and is just waiting to die someday. His sister and elder daughter take care of household. Sivaraman plans to send his son to school when he comes of age. His unmarried sister does not get along with his wife. Sasikala finds her a burden, but Sivaraman can't find a suitable groom due to lack of money. Although the family has difficulty in arranging 2 meals a day, Sivaraman manages to buy milk once in a while, but only for his son. So this is the case, and this is the example through which you can see that Sivaraman and his family belongs to poor category of India. But among the poor people of India or poor family of India, children are more poorer. In short, old grandmother and 3 daughters are poorest of poor in case of Sivaraman. Sivaraman buys milk only for son. That means there is disparity, there is biasness on the basis of gender. Girls are not given equal access to resources as boys. So, who are the vulnerable people, or which are the vulnerable groups? There are basically 4 groups which are more vulnerable to poverty. That is scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, agricultural landless laborers, and the casual workers or casual laborers of urban areas. But among these 4 communities, who are the poorest people who belong to category or gender of female, who are more aged, old people are the poorest of the poor. So this was all for today. Now let's recapitulate what we have included in today's video. This topic is interstate disparities. My dear students, you should know that despite India is facing problem of disparity, this problem is not uniform in all the states of India and union territories of India. There are some states of India which face problem of poverty in a limited manner, or there are some states who are facing this problem to a large extent. Now, poverty in India also has another aspect or dimension, you can say that. What is the dimension here is that all the states do not face the problem of poverty equally. There are some states who are not facing poverty problem to a large extent, while there are other states who are facing chronic poverty in their region. The proportion of poor people is not the same in every state. Although state level poverty has witnessed a secular decline from the levels of early 70s. The success rate of reducing poverty varies from state to state. There are certain states who are successfully decreasing the level of poverty. But on the same hand, there are some other states who are not able to decrease the problem of poverty at all. Now let's read about different states of India facing different level of poverty. Recent estimates shows while the all India HCR was 21.9% in 2011-12, states like Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Odisha had above all India poverty level. Bihar and Odisha continue to be the two poorest states with poverty ratios of 33.7 and 37.6% respectively. Along with rural poverty, urban poverty is also high in states like Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. So basically, these are the states which are not efficient enough to reduce the problem of poverty in their respective states. But there is no need to lose hope. There are states like Kerala, Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and West Bengal, Haryana or Punjab. These are the states which have traditionally succeeded in reducing poverty. Now question comes, why many states of India are not able to reduce the problem of poverty while some are able to eradicate high extent of poverty in their region? Why is it so? Why this kind of disparity amongst states of India? My simple answer is, there are different types of revolution, there are different types of efforts that have been implemented in certain states which led to decrease in poverty in their region. Let's talk about Punjab and Haryana first. Since we know these both states are agricultural states, that means agriculture is the main occupation of majority of working population in these states. And if we develop agriculture, we are going to develop major population in these states. So in order to reduce the problem of poverty, governments have put effort in agricultural sector. You can quote the example of Green Revolution that we just covered in our previous lesson 1, right? The story of village Palampur, in which we studied that Green Revolution was introduced in India nearly in 1964-65, in which you all were taught that due to modern farming methods, Punjab, Haryana states, which are agricultural states of India, are able to increase farm production and crop production, basically productivity. This is the way they could sell more in the market. Farmers were producing more in these states. By surplus production, they used to sell these surplus production in the market. By selling this in the market, they got enough money so that they can grow and develop. Accordingly, Green Revolution and modern methods of farming like use of HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides, tractors, threshers, harvesters, good irrigational channels, right? These all revolutions and reforms have led to the reduction of poverty in Punjab and Haryana. So the basic reason why government of Punjab and Haryana are able to reduce the impact of poverty becomes Green Revolution. and improvement in agricultural field. Now next come the another state which depicts low level of poverty during the recent year, and that is West Bengal. Dear students, you should all know that the West Bengal state was facing numerous problems due to the existing zamindari system there. Zamindari system means tiller of the land or tiller of the soil and owner of the soil are two different people, are two different human beings. Suppose I own land, but I am not going to do anything on land. I am going to lend this land on rent to a landless farmer, and that landless farmer is going to cultivate on my field. For the cultivation, I am going to get good rent, and my accountability and responsibility for upgrading land has been reduced, as whole responsibility to look after the land lies with the landless farmer who has borrowed land from me. So whatever they are producing, I'm going to get it on as a rent, and in return their people are not producing enough food grains so that after rent they can market and earn good amount of money. Therefore, who is getting richer and who is getting poorer if zamindari system exists in West Bengal? Actually, tiller of the land, who is the landless farmer, is getting poorer day by day, because whatever they are producing, they are going to give it to zamindar as rent, and very little is left for them so that they can sustain their living. What they all are doing is subsistence farming. After giving a major share of food grains as rent, they have with them very little, that is just enough for their own living. So basically they are not going to sell food grains in the market at good prices, at fair prices, and if they are not selling food grains at fair prices in market, what they are going to do, they are going to face losses, right? And zamindar in return is getting richer day by day. First of all, they extract a good amount of rent from tiller, from landless farmers. After getting rent, they even borrow money to landless farmers, and for borrowing money they even extract more amount of rate of interest for them. So in both the case, who is getting all the benefit is zamindar. They get a major share of the crop produced by landless farmers, and they sell it in the market and get enough money so that they can sustain their living and earn profits. Therefore, West Bengal state abolished the system of zamindari system, who was creating a gulf between rich and poor, a gulf between zamindar and tiller of the soil. So after abolition of zamindari system, poverty trends in West Bengal indicated that there has been a reduction in the poverty ratio. Not only zamindari system, but there are other land reform measures that were adopted in the state of West Bengal in order to reduce disparity between zamindar and tiller of the land. These land reforms includes ceiling of land holding, consolidation of land holding, regulation of rent, etc. Dear students, in grade 9th, you need not to go into detail, but you should be aware of zamindari system till now that I have explained you in detail. So this was Punjab, Haryana and West Bengal. These states reduced the problem of poverty by implementing good agricultural schemes there, by improving agricultural methods and land reforms. Now let's talk about other states, which are Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. These both states removed or reduce the problem of poverty by implementing a very good public distribution system of food grains. Now, poorer could get all the basic food grains at minimum price, so that the disparity between rich and poor will be reduced. Therefore, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu introduced public distribution of goods that are food grains, and this system is responsible for the improvement in the condition of people living in these two states. Last but not the least, let's discuss Kerala. Kerala is the state who is having the highest literacy rate in India in both male and female. Therefore, Kerala is the state which invested enough resources in the field of human development, because they were all aware if human beings are getting good quality education, only then they are able to get good jobs in future. After attaining good jobs in future, they are going to get money and they could afford basic requirements of life. So this is the way Kerala states focused on education or human resource development in their state, and accordingly poverty ratios have been reduced. In other words, dear students, you can summarize that poverty in India has another aspect of interstate disparities. Some states are not able to reduce poverty trends like Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Assam. These all states are facing problem of poverty like before. But there are some states who have put significant efforts in order to reduce the problem of poverty, and these states are Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Punjab, Haryana, Kerala. And how did they get such policies which can remove or reduce the problem of poverty? The focus has been on high agricultural growth rates, human resource development, land reform measures, public distribution system of food grains. These all parameters led to the reduction in the poverty ratios in these states. So this was topic interstate disparities that we have just learned today. Now let's talk about the last topic of the lesson, that is global poverty scenario. Till now we have just been discussing poverty in India, but poverty is not faced in India only. This is one of the most chronic challenges faced by almost every country of the world. Now let's study what extent of poverty is prevalent in other parts of the world, in other countries of the world. Actually, the proportion of population in developing countries lying in extreme economic poverty, defined by the World Bank as living on less than $1.25 per day. That I have already taught you, that when we are comparing people living in different countries, World Bank has introduced $1. If you are spending $1 a day, then you are non-poor, and if you are spending lesser than $1, you are a poor people of the country. Likewise, when we are going to study global poverty scenario, we are going to talk about World Bank determination of poverty line, that is $1.25 per day per person. World Bank has published reports in which it has stated that Globally, poverty ratio has fallen from 43% in 1990 to 22% in 2008. Although there has been a substantial reduction in global poverty, it is marked with great regional differences. Like some countries of the world are able to reduce the problem of poverty in their countries, while some are still facing chronic problem of poverty in their countries. Same is the case with interstate disparities of India. Like few states were able to reduce the poverty trends while others were not able to. Likewise, some countries of the world, according to World Bank, have reduced the ratio of population living in poverty line in a better way than others. Now talk about those countries in which poverty declined substantially, and these countries basically are China and Southeast Asian countries. These countries have achieved rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development. By massive economic growth or through investments in human resource, these countries have reduced the problem of poverty. Number of poor in China has let down from 85% in 1981 to 14%. See the difference, 85% in 1981 to 14% in 2008. And if we talk about 2011, then it's just 6%. In the countries of South Asia, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, the decline has not been as rapid as China. These countries no doubt have put a lot of effort in order to reduce poverty, but still they cannot reach the level of China. Despite decline in the percentage of poor, the number of poor has declined marginally from 61% in 1981 to 36% in 2008. Because of different poverty line definition, poverty in India is also shown higher than the national estimates. In other words, you can say that Indian government uses particular system or poverty line in which it is shown that there are only less than or around 20% people who are living in poverty in India. But according to World Bank method of measuring poverty, that is $1.25 a day, they have shown that in India total 35% population are still living in poverty. Therefore, due to different poverty line determination, poverty in India is much higher than the national estimates. In sub-Saharan Africa, poverty in fact has increased. Right? In Africa, poverty has been increased from 51% in 1981 to 47% in 2008. That means in the given graph you can see that poverty ratio has been increased in Africa from 41% in 1981 to 46% in the year 2001. Therefore, Africa is one of the countries that is not achieved the target of reduction of poverty despite so many efforts. Now let's talk about countries like Latin America. The ratio of poverty remained the same. There is no change in the ratio. No doubt it has been declined from 11% to 6.4% in 2008, but poverty has also resurfaced. In other words, poverty has emerged as a chronic problem in these countries again. Now there is one more country, that is Russia, in which poverty was not prevalent at all in the past year. But now Russia is also facing, or Russia has started facing, the problem of poverty now. That means now Russia is also facing this chronic or most challenging problem of every economy, that is poverty. These were the topic that we were supposed to cover in today's video lesson. Now let's recapitulate what we have learned today. First of all, you learned the topic of vulnerable groups, in which you studied that there are certain groups on the basis of social and economic challenges in India who are facing problem of poverty since ages. Social groups which are more vulnerable to poverty are scheduled caste and scheduled tribe households. Similarly, among the economic groups, the most vulnerable groups are the rural agricultural labor households and the urban casual labor households. These are the groups which are facing the problem of poverty and are likely to face the problem of poverty in the coming years too. Not only these groups, there are few members of one family who are facing problem of poverty more than others. Basically, these members of the family include women, elderly people, and female infants. Female infants who are facing problem of poverty more than the other members of the family. These become poorest of the poor. Though family is poor, but there are women, aged people who are facing more poverty than others, who are not able to access basic requirements of life. If there is milk in the house, then milk will be consumed by the boys of the house. Girls are not given any facilities like education, milk, and other facilities like boys. So girls become poorest of the poor in the family. After the topic of vulnerable groups, we discussed interstate disparities, that all the states of India are not facing poverty at the equal extent, at the equal level. There are states who are not facing economic problem of poverty like other states. States like Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, West Bengal, Punjab and Haryana have successfully reduced the problem of poverty in their region with the help of agricultural growth rates, human resource development, public distribution of food grains. Through all these measures, these states have reduced the problem of poverty. While there are states like Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, which have not been successful in removing or even reducing the problem of poverty in India. Even Bihar and Odisha continue to be the most poorest states with poverty ratios of 33.7 to 37.6% respectively. So this was interstate disparities. The last topic that we covered in today's video lesson was global poverty scenario. World Bank has published various reports in which you can see that different countries face different levels of poverty. Like China, Southeast Asian countries have achieved rapid economic growth and they have done massive investments in human resource development. Therefore, through these type of reforms, these countries are able to reduce the problem of poverty. While there are few states like Africa, Latin America, in which poverty ratio is still the same or even has been increased. There is a country called Russia which were not even having any kind of poverty in previous years, but now Russia is also started facing the problem of poverty. While estimating global poverty ratio, World Bank is using poverty line in which cutoff point is $1 per day. If a person in any country is spending $1 or more than $1 per day, that person will be non-poor. Otherwise, if that person is spending lesser than $1 a day, that person will be considered poor. So that's all for today. In my next video lesson, we are going to do the last topic of the chapter, that is causes of poverty and anti-poverty measures. These two topics are going to be very important according to the point of view of exams. Causes of poverty means reasons of poverty, reasons of being poor, while anti-poverty measure means what government has taken initiative in order to eradicate the problem of poverty in the country. We are going to study both the topics in detail in our next video lesson. Till then, keep revising and keep learning. Poverty is the topic that you can correlate with your real life, as we see a lot of poor people around us every day. So dear students, kindly read the topics from NCERT books, underline the important words, important lines, so that you don't face any kind of trouble. And if you have any doubt of the topics discussed today or previous lessons, you can WhatsApp me or you can call me anytime, and I will surely clear all your doubts. Thank you for today. See you soon.